Hey, hello YouTube. Well, today I'm going to be tackling the right front wheel bearing on this 2008 GMC 2500. I already changed the left one. I didn't film any of that. I was really in a hurry to get things put together and get on the road. And while the noise and the growling and stuff really went down, it didn't go down all the way. So a bad wheel bearing will cause some unpleasant noise in the car, and a bad wheel bearing is caused by, wear and tear in that bearing assembly. It can get moisture in it over time. It can just have a lot of miles on it, like this particular monkey does. And that all has an impact on the life of the bearing and the sound it makes. When you start hearing that growling noise, it can be from a number of things. It can come from tires. It can come from your gearboxes. Who knows? You could be dragging something under the truck. So you got to kind of listen and do your diagnostics on it. There are ways to check for a bad wheel bearing that include looking for the play in the wheel when you've got it jacked up. This truck has 298,000 miles. And while I found out on the other side that bearing was replaced, which makes sense, right? I mean, that's a lot of miles to have the original bearing. Well, it's been replaced before. It's certainly due for replacement again. When I got these new wheels put on, these Moto metal rims installed, they switched out the lug nuts from the original ones that were in a standard version were 7/8 inch sockets to 3/4. And that's because the hole this is in is smaller. So we now have 3/4 in here, and we've got to get all those broke loose. So when you get started on this, don't do what I do. Do the right thing. And the right thing in this case is to, before you jack it up and pull the lug nuts off, go ahead and bust this nut, because it's going to take some busting. And if you're going to bust a nut, you're going to need some torque. And so keeping something around to assist your wrench is hand handy. And up here, that is not good. Put on the nut here. I normally wouldn't want to heat this up, but since I'm replacing the wheel hub anyway, I'm not worried about it. All right, get this. It's not a good sign, right? Right out of the box, it's not a good sign. So, because I'm going to be putting some more heat on here than I really want to, I'm just taking the wheel off so I don't damage it. These little 3/4 inch nuts are a bit of a pain. We're going to take a different tack with this because I'm going to have to put a lot more heat on here than I intended. And is what it is. Got my pry bar locked in here, and I'm just going to heat this up, and hopefully this nut's going to let go. And now we're going to see if we can get it to budge. It's bending. Not good. Not a good sign. That's a lot of torque right there. And it's not moving it. Lots of heat, and So I'm tight. I mean, even with that, you can feel it. These lot nuts, literally what they are, is axle nuts. I ordered a new one before I got started because I knew it would probably be a little bit of a fight. It has a crimped end on it that acts like a lock nut. And after you've done this, you know, the next one, it won't tighten as well the next time. But it does kind of goober up the threads on your axle going in and out. It's surprising to me that it doesn't goober it up any worse. But here she comes. It does have, I'm going to kind of, as I suspected, the axle is not sliding in there very easily. I'm going to go get a different hammer, beat on that a little bit, try to shake it up, because otherwise, you know, I've got to get that to come out of the axle, out of the bearing hub. UPS just came. These are the dust covers that are missing. Anyhow, I'm going to try to hit this with some air hammer. We'll see what happens when we get the when I get the rest of this loose. This upper pin off, then the lower pin. Yada 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 yada. The wind is whipping outside. Okay. That one wasn't as bad. Should be able to wiggle and jiggle and pry and poke. There we go. So a good rule is to tie this up here with something so it doesn't come crashing down on it. That's good enough for me. What I'm attempting to do is keep the basket up here. These bolts go into the basket. It's held in by this bracket. Hey, that's good. That came out easy. That was nice. Need a little easy right now. Everything new here, I'm sure. That caliper a little bit safer spot. Like new calipers, all new rotors. That rotor's. Oh, hey, look at that. That rotor's loose. That's a good sign. All right, well, these dust boots are not going to make it. Yeah, you see my boot. I'm burning that little dust boot, unfortunately. There we go. You know what that smells like, don't you? Yeah, that smells delicious. Look at that. Little heat goes a long way. Now we're in a cooperative mode. It's good. And you know what I need is my ratchet to go with it. Craftsman. Tell me something. How long is it going to be until you go to the store and they don't carry Craftsman, they carry Craftsperson? Would that fit on there? Craftsperson. I don't know. You don't see that very much anymore. Anyway, sometimes I get easily distracted. Yeah, that puppy's coming loose now. Yeah. Yep. try to get this puppy off. Let's see. There you go. You know, nothing like a bigger rod. You know what I mean? What do you say about that? Heidi Drew. Time for kisses. Kisses. Denied. Again. We're just going to put a little heat on it. See if we get lucky. I seriously doubt that this hub bearing is as old as the rest of the truck. Meter and big friendly wrench. You go, girl. You go. No, really, go. This is a place for craftsmen, not craftspeople. Okay, good news, dudes and dudettes. That right there, that's one down. See, I broke my tripod on my camera, so you're just gonna have to deal with it. Okay, sweet googly moogly. That puppy's coming out. Okay, so I was supposed to put that in the oven and heat it up to 450 degrees. Come on, come up it. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Now, that's what I'm talking about. Let's try some more. Not good. Try a little air hammer action. Not good. Several days later, a haircut, a beard trim, a few extra wrinkles, and here I am. So we, same clothes, but they are actually clean, believe it or not. Well, I ordered new parts. I've got a new knuckle and a new axle waiting in the other room. And now we're going to find out if I'm going to be able to remove the upper and lower ball joint and get the axle to unbolt from the hub up here where it goes into the differential. Well, I've also got to take this tie rod off, and then hopefully that'll work. If it doesn't come apart here clean, then my next opportunity is to actually take the upper control arm off and lower control arm off. Upper, not a big deal. The lower has the torsion rod in it that acts as the spring, and I'm not prepared to deal with that. So here we go. Hopefully this ball joint's going to come out. I don't know why I'm bothering. I don't know why I'm bothering attempting to do this, because this is not going to come out with the axle in the way. And the axle's the reason why I'm taking all this stuff apart, because it's in the way. Well, one very expensive trip to Lowe's, where doers get more done. Wait a minute, hold on. Lowe's. Where happy tastes good? No, hold on. Shopping is a pleasure. Lowe's. You know, I can't remember the logo saying, not the logo. I can't remember the little get up to Lowe's. Is it doers get, no, doers get more done at Home Depot. You know, while I'm destroying things, let's open a $16. I think that blade was like $27 by itself, single blade. These blades are twice as thick, twice as thick as kind of a normal Sawzall blade. But I can see some progress here. It occurred to me I should probably remove the bolts from the axle to the differential before I completely cut this through, so that I can have a little maybe torque back against me while I loosen those. This is making good progress, a lot better than I expected. So I'm gonna go ahead up there, try to remove those without breaking them. Two of these down. And let's roll it around. Get the next. How many are on this thing? However many exposed. One I'm having under here. Yeah, hey, how you doing? So there's what the CV axle looks like. Cut off. Cut down. Oh, you know what? Of course it's not gonna clear that slot, is it? Probably without taking something else apart. But now, hopefully I've got room when this comes loose to tilt that out and drop that off. So that's done. That's cut. So this right here is exactly why I cut the axle. And yet, you know, we're still pretty tight. But I think with enough persuasion here, I'm gonna be able to wiggle that off. That one's off. We'll get this apart, clean up. I just realized that unless I can put this in the press or something and get what's left of that axle out, I'm gonna have to buy another dust shield. Gonna celebrate a moment of success because I cut that off, where I cut it off. Once I loosened what was left of the bolts on here, bam, dust shield salvaged, ball joint salvaged, ball joint salvaged, control arm salvaged. This is complete lost cause. Now, interestingly, the replacement knuckle in there, I don't think it's drilled and tapped for that bolt. I saw that as a potential complaint on the Amazon, So we may end up reusing this knuckle since I was successful in getting that apart. Now that I think about what just happened, I feel like an idiot because I did not have to take enough of this came out. I did not have to take the knuckle off. It just occurs to me. So we'll go clean them up and see what makes sense. But let me see if I'm thinking out loud. Let's see, I took those bolts out, and then yeah, this just slid right out the front because how much I cut off. I did not have to remove this. That was a mistake at this point. Of course. All right, well, getting ready to go the other direction here as soon as I determine what to do. Speaking of that, let's go look. Or, yeah, see, they threaded the wrong hole. Why would they do that? So I can't install this unless I tap out those threads. I think you can figure out my decision. I just checked, and I thought I had free returns on this, but I don't, and it's a big heavy thing. So even though they did not drill the hole and thread, even though they didn't thread the hole, it's probably at the end of the day gonna be less painful. Tap this out. I'm going to tap it 1/4x20, so this will be SAE, should be metric, but this will be fine. Just use a 1/4x20 bolt, and this holds the brake caliper line in place, and also the anti-lock brake harness snaps into that same bracket. So I get this tapped out, and this should take less time than cleaning up the old knuckle. And blinds that go into the wheel bearing hub that were frozen on the other axle. Lovely stuff. This is not a award-winning paint job here, but we're trying to keep the corrosion down. Yeah, there you go. Little paint. Little paint keeps the rust away for a little while. You notice that I'm not using primer, etc. So won't keep the paint away, won't keep the rust away very long, but anyhow. Well, so far, since I've done everything probably backwards and inside out, this project, I just realized I have to take something additional out, which is the sway bar end link up in here. Let's kick on some light. You can see what I'm talking about. That's the piece that connects the anti-sway, anti-roll bar in place in order to get the axle through the hole. Like that. Now it can go through. But just a moment ago, it was laughing at me. Ugh. So I think I'm on the right track here. Shove this thing in, go ahead and bolt it up on those 6 flange bolts up underneath so that I can put the bearing hub on here. We're gonna go with this one. It's way too long, and that's all right. Let me just bend it back. All right, so sway bar end link is in, tie rod is on. These are kind of loosely in place. I'm gonna allow some pressure to come on here in a minute. But let's talk about a couple things. I do try when I'm doing projects like this to consider the fasteners. A lot of fasteners nowadays are one-time use. And see, I bought a new nut, but I'm not gonna need it because that axle came with it. I mean, a lot of fasteners are one-time use. Some are, some aren't. My concern was that I would have some issues with issues with these bolts. I didn't, but I thought that I probably would. So I wanted to make sure that I had new ones ready to go. And we now have new ones ready to go, like so. I watched a YouTuber showing us, he actually had a disaster on his as well, but I watched him putting one of these on, and the splash shield, or the dust shield here, he, I think it went like that. Goodness, I can't remember. Did it go like this? That's probably more like it. Anyway, he was fighting with his dust shield. As he would go to put the bearing on, everything was falling down. And the key, I think, is just to put those bolts ahead. Now, here you go. Here's your PSA. All this headache I've been going after, you know, everything that I've been beating, everything here that I've been beating the truck to pieces over has to do with those splines right there, these right here. That's it. That's what, it wasn't frozen here, frozen on that. So what I'm going to do is apply some anti-seize compound. I did it on the other side. You know, that was so uneventful over there, which is good thing these GoPros are tough. You guys just took a tumble. All right, so we'll put a nice amount of anti-seize on here, and I hope I never have to take this apart again. I probably will. So the trick is that when this goes on, this is where it gets like you need three hands. This has got to kind of go up and over, and you're gonna see me probably making a fool of myself here. But anyway, we're trying to do several things. We're trying to get the axle splines to start through. We're trying to get these bolts to start through. And I need to make sure that I keep this thing under. There we go. The axle felt like it just wanted to go in, just slide into its home. But yeah, this part is not bad, at least not yet. The reassembly is always the good part. These are, for those of you keeping score at home, 15 millimeter. And go ahead and cinch them down. But if you want to get an idea, you know, that's the original bolts that were in here. You know, who knows? They would have been fine. But just be on the safe side of things. There we go. All right, I can't make it any tighter than that, boss. Okay. Question. Which one would you rather have in your truck? All right, I guess I gotta go pull these rubbers out down in here. I'll be back. Well, I caught at least one of you fell asleep just a second ago. I don't blame you. I took a trip up to the AutoZone and picked up my little rubber booties that I melted. If you remember earlier in this video, like a million years ago. So anyway, I am about to put this bracket in. Alright, so I'm going to actually take the other side apart later, as in like, you're not going to see it. But I'm going to take the other side apart and replace the boots and the pins over there, because based on what we've seen here, and I already had that side apart, they weren't as bad. So obviously that side's been serviced in between this side being serviced. But it is what it is, even when it isn't. Pretty textbook from here, but I wanted to get the basket on before I put the this bracket that I made the new threads for in place. I could turn on some light, maybe see what I'm doing. Got my new pins, got my slide grease. Oh my goodness, I was watching a YouTuber that, mechanic, and he was talking about the right way and the wrong way to lubricate your slide pins. I'm gonna tell you right now, I had no idea this was controversial. None, zip, zero. None. And he made a pretty good presentation for not putting too much grease on there. I mean, good presentation. I was okay with it. I've always thought if something's good, more is better. Perhaps I need to rethink that strategy, but so he laid out his reasoning for doing it that way, and in the comment section, it caught on fire. People just, everybody's got an opinion, right? Okay, brake paddage is inch. I'm gonna go get my and do the thing. Button it up. Everything's tightened down. New dust cover on this. That was new. Here's my modified lockdown for the brake bracket, since I had to cut new threads in there. That little clip won't grab anymore, but it's good with some zip ties. Greased up, cleaned up, bolted down, tightened up. We are ready to put the wheel on. We can call this done. So I want to thank you for coming along on this ride with me. Certainly not the job that I thought it was going to be when I started. You know, I didn't record the other side because it went so fast. Before I knew it, I had it changed. So I said, hey, you know, I'm going to show how easy this comes off with a little heat, a little oil, a little, torque wrench action. But nope, this was awful. Learned a few things, could have done different. Number one, I shouldn't have taken the knuckle off. After cutting that CV axle where I did, unbeknownst to me, with the bolts out, there was enough room to slide it out. Now, if the bearing had been stuck in there as well and not coming out of its housing, and the axle was stuck in there, that was the right move. But anyway, it came out. That's the good news. I spent way too much money, way too much time. That's the bad news. But this side is good, and other than worn ball joints, an old caliper, an old flexible brake line, we could just make a long list of everything here that's still old and worn out. But we're ready to roll. So we got both the wheel bearings back on the truck, took it out for a nice ride. We're currently in a place called Hatcher's Pass. When we get the truck camper on here, this is an area that we plan on coming to and enjoying some outdoor time. Just a beautiful area. We stopped and got some Hatcher's Pass pizza, brought the dogs, and just enjoying an unbelievably beautiful Saturday afternoon in Alaska. So thanks again for watching. Really appreciate it. If you don't mind subscribing and like button, all that good stuff, and we'll see you next time.